So you had to deal with a lot of it sounds like you had to deal with a lot of culture change. There was that culture of forced discounts,
Yeah,
and you had to nip that in the bud.
you bet.
I'm curious how much of that culture change was company-wide, or was it really just the back office that was doing the billing, the negotiations, the salespeople?
It really was. It was company wide.
It was company-wide.
I'll tell you, yeah, it was company wide, and so much so that um, I ended up commissioning and having um, a music video created called "I Want to Be a Rock Star." Okay, got it copyrighted, everything, and but it was because usually in the engineering side, either your top engineer or your senior geologist, they get all the glory, and so they tend to talk, um, my project, okay,
Yeah.
and I completed this, I did this, when in reality there's this whole team that sits out there that helped make the project successful. And so when you take away this silo that my and me, and you lay it over and it's us and them together, it's a different picture. And so, the video showed every level of people in every different phases. It was a quick video running, and the theme was the ladies out front in each one of the offices, the administrative assistants, were just as important and needed and valued as the top senior geologist in there.
Yeah.
In fact, we even did a deal where we had a company-wide meeting, had everybody come to Oklahoma City, and about 60 people, and we had a training meeting, and we did two things where there we had the People's Choice Award, and then we had the President's Choice. And so, as the President's Choice, I chose the three top administrative assistants as our rock stars of the year, and because they do so much in the background that keeps it going, and people just throw stuff on their desk, and they don't give them even a pat on the back or bring them a donut, and so they're just missing that link. And then what was really cool because of the change within the environment was wanted everybody to vote. Everybody in the meeting voted on who helped them the most that year to progress. And so and they could not mention any of the top three management team. It had to be someone there. And so it was hard in the end to calculate it because everybody voted on those directly next to them, just the next level up. They didn't go high. It was the next level up was who did the most to help them, and trying to build that culture that your lower level people would feel that way of the
Yeah.
next level up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your customer is the next person up in the line that you're providing for.
You bet.
Yeah.
Hey, did you, it was a kind of a key thing for today was in my mind was to talk about culture, which you're just nailing it. Now, did this just start with you? I mean, did you wind up with some engineers you had to let go because we just don't need that jerk around here? Did you force this on them? I mean, obviously the video shows that you didn't just force it.
Yeah.
How did you effect the culture melding? That's the question.
That was the hardest thing. And you had to stay on top of it. You really did, because the first thing you have to realize when you're taking a failing business and you're going to change policies and procedures of how business was done, the people who were there who helped create those policies and procedures will almost never admit that it was the policies and procedures that helped lead to the unsuccessful side of the business. They will always blame somebody somewhere outside of that. And so the buy-in has to be there. And so we did have to let a couple people go up front. There were some integrity issues. We just it was a zero tolerance, and that had to go away. But I worked diligently for a number of years trying to keep and course correct to some of the upper, and eventually I had to let a key person go. It just was resistant. And now there was I have a philosophy in this aspect that when you go into your board meetings and your leadership meetings and you got employees, the worst thing you want is a whole team of people that's saying, "Yes, sir, you're right, Mr. Keys. Yep, you got that, Mr. Keys." That you want people who can be open and honest with you. And so I had an individual whose natural tendency was to be negative all the time. And it drove a lot of people nuts, but that person was could read and comprehend documents very, very well. And I knew this was my go-to person to give that to, because they were going to find everything wrong. They probably wouldn't point out anything good in it, but they would point out everything wrong.
They'll tell you.
Not being afraid to have people like that on your team. A lot of people won't do that because they don't want the headache. They want it to go smoother. But if you want less problems as you're growing, take people's strengths, whether it appears to be a negative strength that can benefit you. Don't be afraid of it, And so, when you talk about cultural change, it has to start from the top down in that management. No matter how hard you work at the bottom, you can get a lot of camaraderie going, but the moment they start working with the upper, so it has to work from the top down.
They have to buy in.
So how long does this take? What's the timeline? How long did it take for you in this first acquisition?
Oh, it's still going on.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say, this isn't just a step in and 1 year change.
Well, and see what you have to realize is the way we did this, would it have been easier to roll them in and say, you guys no longer work for that company, you work for this company, here's our policies, forget everything. It would have been, okay. It just keep growing the deal from the, bigger. Just everybody now works for Associated Environmental. But, in a strategic plan, I did not do that in the aspect that your health and safety is so critical in what we do. Okay. You have one little bobble in any of your health and safety programs, then you've got a ripple effect. And so with my companies, my wife owns 51% of Associated and I own 49%. Okay. But with the engineering firms, I own 100%. And because of that, our experience modifier with the most dangerous side of the drilling side stays there. It doesn't go with the engineering firms. And so we have MSAs, master service agreements, with multiple companies throughout the country. And like here in Oklahoma, there's 5 active refineries. And we have MSAs with 4 of them and work regularly in all 4 of those. And so if we had some type of massive loss with one of our companies that had nothing to do with that refinery, and we're all connected together, then all of us can no longer work at that refinery. None of them. But by keeping each company separate, we're able to maintain those separate MSAs. And if for some reason you do have something bad, the rest of the train gets to keep moving. Not everybody's, so it's reducing risk and liability within the companies to keep them separate like that.
Robert, what's NSA stand for?
MSA, Master Service Agreement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Master Service Agreement. Yeah.
Yeah.
It allows us to be able to continue moving and going forward. So, for instance, I'll tell you, in our industry, we had a guy that put his hand in a little canister, and he ended up with a cut that they took to. He had to get stitches, and it was no major deal. He was back on the job. They put the tape over it and everything, but because it was a reportable incident, that crew could not go on that facility for like a year and a half, 2 years. Okay.
Oh,
And so, health and safety, especially in your refineries and stuff like that, is so tight that to be able to keep yourself, the rest of everybody continuing to work, you've got to figure out a strategic way of building it. And so now, once you get up to 400 or 500 people, the bulk number of that changes your experience modifier rating. But while you're under 100, you're fighting getting there.
you get nailed. Yeah.
You're gonna
Wow.